Hey, this is Jersey. You're listening to the Garden State.
You're listening to The Garden State, the only New Jersey podcast that gives you all the news you need to hear this week. My name is Josh Sobo.
My name is Josh Chomik.
And I'm Jimmy Parks.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, but right before the opening there, we had a little conversation going. Something funny about a podcast is you never want to talk too much because you kind of want to hold the convo for the podcast, right?
Yeah, whenever you guys start talking, I'm like, no, stop talking.
Yeah.
Hold it for the pod.
But what we were talking about was Jimmy Parks. Something interesting about your family was that do you want to share it?
Yeah. My grandfather drew one of the Old Spice logos.
And this is connected to our podcast because he was from New Jersey.
Yep.
So he drew, what logo did he draw?
So the boat. There was an actual name for the boat that he drew. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But for a while there, Old Spice went to a newer style boat, but I think they're back to his boat now.
Was his the one, because there are two, I'm looking at it right now. It's
the one with the more sails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
How am I just learning this today, Jimmy? This is so interesting.
I don't know. I thought you knew.
Why did you never tell me?
I don't know.
The boat is there and it says, smell like a man.
Did your grandfather get a fair payout for this?
No, he worked for a company called Schulten, which I think at the time, I don't know if they still do own Old Spice, but they used to at least. But he went to a really prestigious art school in New York City.
So he just designed the logo while working for this company.
Yeah.
Ended up being the Old Spice logo that blew up.
Yeah.
And I guess he just got paid his salary and that's it.
Yeah.
Wow. That kind of stinks.
Well, I was going to say, when I wanted to ask you, because there is a Old Spice cologne by Schulten. I think Schulten still owns them, but they have the vintage bottle out for sale.
Yeah.
And you can get a bottle with your grandfather's logo on it off of eBay.
Yeah, no, I've gotten things for my mom off of eBay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You should. So the reason I brought this up before we started was you should see if there's any way he has, maybe your mom in storage has notebooks and stuff, because we just got a bunch of art framed for the studio for the listeners. I found all this New Jersey-based art that's really sick, and I'm excited to hang it up.
Yeah.
And we used this service that we'll talk more about in the future that framed all our stuff for us. And it was such a cool experience that it made me want to start collecting different pieces of art.
Yeah, from my understanding, I think my uncles have some of his stuff, but I don't think my mom has any of it. But the school he went to is called Cooper Union in New York.
I'm sure I know Cooper Union.
Yeah, they only admit a few people a year, and it's free tuition if you get in.
I went to a Cooper Union event with Shelby probably in 2015. They put on art productions. Cooper Union put on there's a house where they displayed all the memorabilia of the guy that made what's the motorcycle movie from the 70s?
Oh, I have no idea.
Are we going down a rabbit hole? That's not necessary. We can talk about it later, but that's pretty cool. Nonetheless, I think it's cool that he's from Jersey as well. People see the Old Spice logo, they may not know that.
Yep. Lived in Jersey City.
When did Jimmy tell you this?
I thought you told me on the podcast.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't recall.
Talked about it before.
I'm mind blown right now. This is so cool.
Yeah.
I want to figure out whatever.
But I've tried doing Googling on it and stuff, but I think it was just so far before the internet.
What? So his name is not on anything?
I couldn't really find anything, but
you got to find those notebooks, bro.
Yeah,
those original sketches would be so cool.
But yeah, we can go visit his tombstone in Westfield.
It's in Westfield?
Yeah, and you could see the boat.
Wait, it's on his tomb?
Yeah,
he just said that.
Oh my gosh,
that's pretty legendary. What deodorant do you wear right now?
Old Spice,
of course.
Have you always used
it?
Recently switched?
A few years ago.
You should get the if you're ever to get a tattoo, the Old Spice boat.
That'd be pretty cool.
Sick tattoo.
Jimmy's first tat.
That would be pretty cool.
You get a sailor tat on your forearm.
Yeah.
The grandfather's boat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man, I like that, Jimmy. Or if you ever buy a boat, you got a lot of boat name options.
Exactly.
You could kind of play around there with some, I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. But hey, welcome back, everybody. Sorry for the opening tangent. Josh Chomik, how are you doing, man? Welcome back to another week on the Garden State.
It feels good. We're 101 episodes in now, past the 100 mark. So I feel like it was tough getting to 100. Yeah. Now that we're past 100, we're kind of just we're flowing. We're in the flow. We're in the thick of the Garden State, and I'm ready to go, baby.
I'm ready for 1,000.
Honestly, at this point, doesn't surprise me. Like we're gonna get to 1,000. What is that? Like 3 years? I'm sorry. That's like, wow.
Math.
That would be like 15 years or something.
No, it'd be quick math. Well, we're already 100 episodes in.
So
Which
there's
took 2
900
years.
more episode. So 50 a year, I would say we'd churn out.
So
That-
it's about 19 years to do 1,000 episodes.
Unless
A little over.
my
If we include
Lord.
our interviews that's spliced in there, we might get there earlier.
Yeah, and that's actually a good thing to bring up. Tonight, the Garden State is filming our first ever interview.
Yes.
Right here in the studio, and I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, we don't want to give up who it is yet, but it'll be coming out next week. And we've never done, like, we waited 100 episodes to do in-person interviews. Like, it's not remote. Like, our guest is coming into the studio, which is crazy. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also very excited because it's someone I've been following for many years, never met them in person, and they're going to come to our studio tonight. So,
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
I'm excited for this first guest, and I'm excited to just launch the series and see where it takes us. I feel like once we open the can of worms of having people on, it might open doors for a lot of people to come on. I also was driving yesterday and thinking about my intro because there's pressure on me when we do any episode. I got to say our little intro.
Yes.
And I was just I verbally process. That's how I'd say it. I say things out loud sometimes to myself. Like I talk to myself. I'm trying to say a fancy way of saying I talk to myself.
Yes.
And I think Local Legends could be a cool name for the series. Garden State Local Legends.
I thought you were going with your first option.
Garden State Profile.
Yes.
Well, we could discuss it, but I just feel like this guy's a ledge. He's a local legend, and
Sounds a little more epic than profiles.
It does sound pretty. Profiles sounds more vogue.
Do you know when we want to post it yet? Like, is it like a Tuesday thing? Is it like a Wednesday thing?
Can we post it next Tuesday?
I mean, yeah, I don't want to post it same day as like the news pod. So like, we have to break it up somehow. So it's got to be a Tuesday or Wednesday. So you got to pick.
I think Tuesday would be really cool.
Good in between midweek pod.
Or Monday to launch the week. Monday morning, people wake up to an interview.
Either or, yeah.
And then it's like a sweet treat. And then Fridays we close the week out.
We're just churning
like
out
that.
content left and right here on the Garden State.
Yeah, and so to the listeners that may not know, we are starting interviews, and it's an exciting new venture. We had said that it was something we wanted to do for some time, but we really wanted to build slowly. Like I think slow growth is good. Slowly building into what we are right now, slowly into the infrastructure we have.
Yeah.
Kind of laid out to do an interview. And but now it's to the moon, baby. Now that we're setting off on the course of interviews, there's no turning back.
No turning back.
I'm stoked. I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one.
Doing interviews is something that I've wanted to do like my whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So-
I didn't know about you. Wait, Jimmy, hold on. We got to do our weekend recap because your Instagram story this weekend. Was that this weekend?
I'm trying to remember. What did I do this weekend? What did you
How
see?
did you forget what you did?
Oh, you had a crazy.
Jimmy, you had probably the craziest
That
Instagram
was on
story.
Friday.
Okay,
yeah,
hold on.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we're gonna do interviews, Jimmy. I'm happy you're excited, but let's pivot really quick and do a little weekend recap. Do we still have that soundbite?
Of course.
Is it on the board?
No, it's in the edit.
Good.
Weekend recap.
Jimmy, tell everybody what you were doing on Friday because that was bizarre.
Oh yeah, Friday I woke up. I started work like usual. And then all of a sudden I went to New York City kind of randomly. And I saw the band Green Day play at a record store with about 50 other people.
You were, but the context. So that's cool. But the way you just said it's cool. The video I saw was you standing. There was nobody in front of you. It was you 3 feet from Billy Joe
Armstrong, yeah.
Billy Joe Armstrong.
Yeah.
I always want to say Billy Joel Armstrong. It's Billy Joel.
The disrespect.
Yeah, for
Billy
real.
Joe Armstrong.
Yeah.
So how was that? It was an acoustic set.
It was awesome. It was one of the most incredible things. I think pretty much anyone who knows me in real life knows that I've been like a pretty big Green Day fan my whole life. So when you see your favorite band like that right in front of you playing with like 50 people watching, it's pretty insane.
What are they promoting? Because I saw them just in a subway station with Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, they just came out with a new album called Saviors.
Oh, cool. Is it good? Is it good?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think most Green Day fans will like it. It's a good mix of everything they've ever done in their career. So
I'm shocked that you even filmed it, Jimmy.
I
You definitely filmed it to flex,
didn't
to show off.
I wasn't going to, but then
Well, why wouldn't you film it?
I was like, I'm like standing right there, so I have to.
He was like, they were right in front of Jimmy, like 2 inches away from Jimmy, which is
I
crazy.
know, it was nuts.
Yeah, you were like
These guys
in
are
your face.
packing out arenas and stadiums for like hundreds of thousands of people around the world, and Jimmy is like 2 inches away from the lead singer of Green Day.
How did this happen?
It's just, you got to be in the right place at the right time sometimes.
Jimmy doesn't give up his secrets.
It's just, it was nuts. It
Jimmy,
was insane. And then like a lot of people like were DMing me and they're like, wait, are you like the only one there? Because that's what it looks like in the video.
Yeah,
It looks like a private show.
It looks like it's you in Green Day.
Yeah.
And they're 4 feet in front of you.
Not, like arm's length. Like
Yeah, like, and they were even looking at you while you were filming.
Yeah.
Who's the guitar player on the right?
So that was Mike Dern. He plays bass.
Bass.
Yeah.
And he was giving you a little look there in your video. I was like, Jimmy is in with Green Day now. Wow.
So
It's pretty cool,
If
man.
Jimmy disappears from the pod and goes on tour with Green Day,
Oh,
you know this guy's got some connects.
that'd be the real dream. But
Well, so this isn't the real dream is what you're saying.
this is also the real dream. But
But if you got offered a Green Day like stadium tour right now to go for like 4 months, would you go?
of course.
Nice.
The way Jimmy told that story, where he was like, I woke up. It reminded me of, I've been watching The Office again. I haven't watched it in years. And everything, whenever you watch a good comedy like Seinfeld or The Office, everything kind of relates to it, I feel like. I just watched the episode where Michael quits. You remember that, Josh?
He quits Dunder Mifflin.
Yeah, he goes to what's his name in New York? And he's like, you have no idea how I can fly.
Yeah.
And he goes back to the office and they're like, Michael, what happened? And he goes to tell the story and he starts like Jimmy did. He's like, I woke up. Like it's like the most crazy long intro ever. And Pam is like, for once he knows he has us with a good story and he's holding on to it. Something like that. That's what it felt like right there for a second.
But Jimmy texted me when he found out he was going and he was like freaking out.
Well, like this is my favorite things like this happen, right? There's no lead time. There's no time for anticipation. All of a sudden it's just happening.
Yeah, it just
right?
comes to you.
So like if I knew this was happening like 2 weeks in advance, like I'd be like, oh, this is really exciting. And like every day you're thinking about it. But like I woke up like any other day and then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, I have to go.
So here's my question for you. Did you enjoy intimate acoustic Green Day set better than stadium Green Day set?
Oh, it's a completely different experience, right? But
They're both cool for different reasons.
yeah, no, I definitely appreciate this experience because so few people like will ever get to experience that.
Yeah.
But it just kind of made me sad to think like Green Day's playing in Philadelphia and New York this summer in like stadium, so Citi Field. So it's like next time I see them, I'm gonna be like way out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah, but that's kind of fun too. I think that there's
Who knows? You might get another text being like, Jimmy, we got a spot for you right up front.
Yeah, right.
I think stadium shows are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The energy of the crowd, the music, there's something cool about both of them. But like I saw John Mayer one time in Times Square. There was this company that I guess they hired him to promote something they were doing, and he did 3 songs, and I was invited for some reason. I was same thing. I was 5 feet from John Mayer.
Yeah.
It was me. Oh, you weren't there, right?
No.
And it was cool. It was a cool set. It wasn't like all Times Square was filled. It was like just a private event in Times Square. And it was cool. It was cool because I was close. Like my photos were like awkwardly close to him. But I think the stadium show I saw at Brooklyn was more enjoyable.
Yeah. I don't know,
more
but
of the musician there.
the smaller things like this, it kind of humanizes them too, right?
Yeah, you're right. For Green Day, I mean, they're so enormous that it's kind of like
Everyone knows Green Day.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's no stage. It's just okay. All of a sudden on the floor, here's the band. So it was awesome.
Cool. Josh, what'd you do this weekend? Anything fun?
A chill, dude.
Chilled.
I don't think I did anything this weekend. I came over to your house. I played with June. She's my
right.
new best friend.
Aww.
I took a photo of June with my point and shoot camera. And for some reason, I don't know, like Sobo said, he doesn't know who taught her it, but like legit, I put the camera in her face, I said cheese, and she actually cheesed.
Aww.
And she wouldn't stop cheesing.
Yeah,
and we were like, all of us were like blown
She
away.
kept smiling.
It was a moment.
It was bizarre.
But it's like she only smiled when I said cheese, and like the camera was about to flash. So like she timed it perfectly. Like,
it was weird.
dude, she's
freaky.
got the blood in her, bro. She's ready for the cameras.
I said to my wife, she's an influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing to me.
You should start a toy channel with your daughter.
I just don't. I have photos of my daughter on Instagram and stuff, but there's this whole new wave of parents that are like, oh, I'm not putting my kid
Yeah.
on social media. And I kind of am empathetic to the perspective because it is kind of weird that you don't know who's on the internet. Like,
Of course, yeah.
if
You
I
don't
had
know who's looking at those photos.
If my Instagram was locked, then it's one thing. But there's so many creepy people on the internet that I don't know. It makes me a little uncomfortable.
I was thinking about Ryan's toy channel yesterday, so I looked him up, and he's still getting like a few 100,000 views, but he's not getting like the billions of views like he used to get. But I was thinking about like a kid channel. It's like if the kid wakes up one day and the parents are like, "All right, let's play for YouTube," and the kid's like, "I don't want to play."
Yeah.
And you're making your salary off your kid. Like, what do you say to the kid? You're like, "No, you're gonna play with your toys today."
That's the.
It's
Aren't
so
there
weird.
laws like against that?
There's something.
Well, that's the weirdness with influencer families for sure. There's something strange there.
Yeah, because you see like all the good, and they hide a lot of the bad. But like, what if like the kid one day is like, I don't want to be on camera, Dad. I want to just be with you.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, we're vlogging it. It's very
Yeah.
tricky, and I don't think personally I could ever do that.
Well, the good thing with YouTube is the residual check. So like if you post for a week, you're not going to lose much money.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
You get that ad rev still pumping in.
Yeah, but you still want them, you want to keep
yeah.
building. It's kind of an addiction. You're like, I want
Yeah.
more views. I want more subscribers. And that's like a natural human
Are
tendency.
you speaking from experience here?
Yes.
I'm kidding. But maybe I'll start a toy channel for her. We'll have to see. I got to ask my wife about it. She'll probably say no. But it was good seeing you. And my weekend was the same as yours because I always forget to say what I did this weekend. Same low-key kind of nonsensical sort of weekend.
What was Saturday?
I did go to Chick-fil-A on Route 10 in Morris Plains on Saturday morning for breakfast.
Nice.
You guys ever had Chick-fil-A breakfast?
Yes.
Maybe like once. It's not my go-to.
If you get the chicken biscuit and you get honey on top of it and you get the vanilla iced coffee, it is amazing.
Ooh, with the vanilla ice.
Oh my Lord, it's good. And then they have like this little box full of tiny chicken sandwiches. I really enjoyed it.
Wait, you also got the box of tiny?
Yeah, we were going to see we brought some breakfast for some family and we loaded up on everything.
Nice.
And it was good. It was very good.
Dude.
I did nothing though otherwise.
We need that Chick-fil-A sponsorship.
We got to get it. We just
Free
gotta-
chicken.
Forever.
It'd
Josh,
be very nice.
did we ever tell the listeners how you and I used to camp out at grand openings of Chick-fil-A's in New Jersey?
Yes, sir.
Did we say that? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've shared those stories.
I can never remember what we've shared and what we haven't.
Yeah, I've done like 8 of those. How many have you done with me?
I did too. I was at the grand opening in Paramus.
Nice.
What is that? What mall was
That was a cheat code, Garden State Plaza.
Garden
Because
State
we got to still sleep inside.
Yeah, Garden State Plaza.
And what was the other one you did?
Maybe that was the only one
I'm
I
trying to
did.
remember which one you came with.
Union, maybe? I don't know. No, you were there for. I didn't go to Union, but
You got those 50 free Chick-fil-A cards, though.
yeah, it was awesome.
The real cheat code is just not going and just being friends with somebody who has one of these cards. And then
Oh,
you go to
100%.
Chick-fil-A. And when Josh had like 5 of them at the same time, he's like,
I would take my friends
card.
to Chick-fil-A for all the time for free, and I felt like the man because I'm like, free food on me.
Did you empty the cards out completely?
Yeah, because 100%. I went to like 8 openings, bro. So I constantly had Chick-fil-A, so I got sick of Chick-fil-A for a while.
Wow.
So whenever I was with my friends, I'd be like, here, take like 5 cards, take some cards here and there. So like I would just hand them out because I had too many.
Wow.
My friend Nathan had a free Chipotle card. That was the real crazy one.
But it was just a singular card.
Yeah.
So you could only get it if you were with him, right?
No, one time he just gave it to me and I went and got Chipotle.
That's a flex.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I had a few
they're
friends who had
super
Taco.
rare.
People had Taco Bell free gift cards. Dangerous. I never had those personally, but
Taco Bell Black Card, it was called, I think.
Ooh.
It was like unlimited Taco Bell for the rest of your life.
Oh, that's crazy.
did all these companies stop doing all these like free?
Well, you think
I
about
feel
it,
like I haven't heard about it.
It's
in a while.
such a good idea because in the grand, okay, so like realistically, over the course of the rest of my life, how much Taco Bell am I going to eat?
Yeah.
I guess the index will be different depending on if I have a free Taco Bell card, but like, how much Taco Bell can you eat?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll buy in the next 10 years of my life if I was really aggressive. I don't know, like maybe $1,000 worth,
Right.
Yeah.
$200. I guess $100 a year in Taco Bell sounds pretty consistent with my current. I mean, I never have Taco Bell right now. But then you think, how much does that really cost them? $1,000? Like, what's their margin? They're probably spending like, $150. Like, it's
It's
probably
bad.
it's probably nothing for them. So it is really good marketing.
I'm going to make a bold statement and say for the whole rest of my life, I will have Taco Bell 10 more times.
In your life.
Wow.
No, you're right.
I love how, by the way,
you're right.
I know we always say this, but I love how Jimmy cannot see you, Josh.
I hate it. He loves it. I hate it. I don't like just seeing his chest. I look there, I see his chest, and I see his feet moving everywhere.
Jimmy, you said 10 times?
Yeah, probably.
So what
10 more
happens
times.
if that plan goes a little more aggressive and you're sitting in Taco Bell on the 10th time and you're like, do I take a bite or not?
Probably don't.
You just gave yourself the kiss of death. The
I'm
kiss of
trying to
Taco
think.
Bell death.
I think last year I had Taco Bell after we went Polar Plunge.
Yep.
I think we stopped with Taco Bell.
That was good.
And I can't remember
really smacked.
when I've had Taco Bell before that.
Well, hey guys, Taco Bell or not, we should do Taco Bell after the Polar Plunge again. That was
definitely.
really fun.
Speaking of which, when is the Polar Plunge this year, Josh?
It's February 24th.
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
And you know who's coming out? Why don't
My
you tell the
dad.
people? Yes, your dad signed up.
Yeah, we have built a Polar Plunge Avengers team.
Oh yeah.
And if you want to come jump in the Seaside Heights beach, ocean, the Atlantic Ocean.
River.
I was going to say Seaside River. If you want to come jump in with us on the 24th, you can sign up. Sign-ups are still open. All the proceeds go to the New Jersey Special Olympics. We don't get
Beautiful.
anything out of it. It's just a fun New Jersey life experience. We'll have a tent set up if you want to come say hi to us and jump in with us. Usually Wawa rolls up and has a free coffee truck, a free hot cocoa truck. You get a hoodie out of it. It's a great Jersey experience.
We'll have some food as well for whoever's hanging
We
with
will
us.
have some food as well.
Because we're posting up with Elizabeth PD, and they're always grilling. So, yeah, it's going to be good.
We will be hanging with the Elizabeth Police Department.
The boys.
And we're trying to get a little crew together here. And if you want to come jump in, we'd love to have you. Like I said a few times ago, there's no pressure to feel like if you're going to commit, you got to, attach yourself at the hip to us. But if you want to, hey, Josh Chomick could always use a friend to hold hands with as he jumps in the ocean.
Yeah, we're trying to get the matching Speedo gang going. So if anyone wants to join. Oh, and also you get a free, last year we got a cool pullover or a zip up hoodie, for jumping in. Everyone gets the same thing. So there's a lot of cool, like a fleece. What do you call that? Is a zip up? A fleece zip up?
Zip up fleece.
A zip up fleece? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you got a lot of cool swag doing the Polar Plunge. So definitely sign up. The link is in So definitely sign up. The link is in the description of this podcast. We have 15 people on our team already. It's freaking awesome. Shout out Matt Grossman, the man, OG from last year. He's doing it with us again. So can't wait. It's going to be a blast, and we really hope you guys come out.
Before we get into the news, we want to remind you once more that we are live from the Vintage City offices in Elizabeth, New Jersey. We have been at the Vintage City offices for a little over 6 months now. Time is flying. It's going fast.
Terrible.
And we actually love our space here. We have an amazing studio space. But if you're looking for an office, if you own a business and you need office space, you got to be sure to reach out to the Vintage City offices. If you'd like to come by to check out the space, the number to call or text is 908-259-4488. That's 908-259-4488. And when you come by, be sure to come take a selfie with the Garden State neon sign and tag us on our social media. Thank you, everybody.
Guys, we have a merch store. It's thegardenstate.com. It's how you can support the show. Go get yourself some cool New Jersey merch. And we got a lot of new things coming up very, very soon for our spring drop. So keep an eye on that and go check out the website. Back to the podcast.
If you want to call into the Garden State Mailbag, the number is
908-67-99-99-3. Yo, what's up, Garden State Pod? This is Wade Thompson. I've called in a couple times, but happy 100th episode. Love to listen. I've been listening since pretty much the beginning. I remember seeing you guys on TikTok, and me and my wife were taking a long road trip to Maryland, and I decided to take a listen. I think we started around episode 4, and we caught up. I fell in love with the podcast. Love it, guys. Keep up the good work. It's one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to. And I just wanted to say before I end this call, Chomick, I am on the boat with you for the thin pancakes. There's a place on the White Horse Pike, Parks. That one's for you. It's called the Gilchrist, and they make the best pancakes in the world, and they are very thin, and they are the best. So anyways, guys, keep up the good work. Love the pod. So have a good night.
Shout out to Egg Harbor City. That's where the Gilchrist is.
Have you been there?
No.
Shout out Wade, dude. My dude. Thank you so much for the call and for all the support and for listening to the podcast since the beginning, the early days. I love when Wade calls in. I saw the call come in. I'm like, Wade, OG. Oh, that's what they look like.
Yeah, those aren't even pancakes.
This gets into the debate that we were
Big
talking about
debate.
last week. These aren't pancakes.
What do you call them? Crepe sobes?
It's not, I mean, I guess they call it a hot cake, but it looks more like a crepe than a pancake to me. I mean, but yeah, I don't know.
What's a hot cake?
I always thought it was just another name for pancake.
That's what I thought too.
Like, do people in Jersey call it that?
It's like flapjacks, right? It's the same thing.
Who calls them flapjacks, though?
I've heard pancakes called flapjacks in my life.
Interesting. I got to go to Gilchrist now.
All right. Well, why don't we go check out another mailbag call? We had last week. We had for our 100th episode. We took a call from a young guy up in North Jersey. He was telling us about the snow, and then he messaged. I was confused because we were all confused. We said, "Is he in was his teacher in a wheelchair or in a car or what was going on there?" And then he messaged us and was giving us more info. And then I guess we got 2 more messages from him Sunday at 12:30 a.m. So once again,
Up late.
he's up until 12:30 in the morning calling our podcast. So let's see what we got from Chris. I don't know what township he's in, but let's see what Chris said.
It's Chris again. I just wanted to clear some things up. We had to push our teacher in her car up the hill because it was so icy. And it's not that I don't like the snow. It's just it's been so cold this week. Everything's turned to ice. And I have a ginormous black lab puppy I have to walk. And he keeps running at stuff. I keep falling. So that's all I had to say.
He said that, and then he left another one.
One more thing I forgot to say in the last one is I don't know how Sobo told my mom or if she heard it on the podcast, but the next day when I woke up after the podcast came out, I was getting yelled at. Not cool, Sobo. Not cool.
You got this kid in trouble,
Who's
Sobo.
this kid? Cool, Sobo.
He thinks I talked to his mom.
You have a direct line.
Like, Chris, I love you, man. I love that you're calling in. I've enjoyed last week's message and this one, but I have no idea who your mom is. There would be no way for me to know.
Didn't you say, like, Chris, go to bed early? Like, or something like, listen to your mother?
Yeah, I just told him he should be going to bed or I'm going to call his mom.
Well, you just told to everyone he's calling at 12:30 again. The kid's going to get ripped this week.
It's on Sunday.
Maybe his mom listens to the podcast as well.
Probably.
I'm outing him.
Chris, why are you... Yeah, you just outed him again.
Oh, I just read it wrong. It says 12:30 p.m., so it was Sunday in the afternoon. It wasn't in the morning.
Oh.
Not really, but...
Yeah, no shot. You can't go back on that.
Man, I love that the young next generation of humans is listening to this garbage, at 12:30 in the morning on a Sunday.
And they're pushing their teachers up in cars.
He pushed his teacher up in a car.
That's a good move right there, Chris. Like,
I wanted to send him merch. I said this to you guys. I wanted to send him a little care package as just a thank you for listening because he's a young listener, but I felt really weird asking him. He'd messaged us. I felt weird being like, hey, what's your address? I was going to say, like,
His mom would really freak out.
Ask your mom if we can send you merch. But nonetheless, hey, Chris, thanks for listening, man. Why don't we start into the news for the week and see what's happening in the Garden State? What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
This is northjersey.com. Things are always getting more expensive in Jersey. We always talk about it, and this is no different for sure. NJ Transit is proposing a 15% fare hike, the first hike in 9 years.
I feel like the hike just happened 9 years ago, and now it's happening again.
I don't remember the last hike, to be honest
Me
with you,
neither.
but I'm not surprised that NJ Transit's getting more expensive.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because Murphy has kind of been running his whole campaign off of how there hasn't been any New Jersey Transit fare hikes in his administration. So
The world's getting more expensive, and
Unless people are taking the train, so they're losing money.
do you know that for sure? I would assume that more people are taking the train.
Yeah.
Or is it because people working from home now, not as many people are riding the train?
I guess to get the accurate info on that, you'd have to know compared to when.
Yeah.
Compared to COVID, yeah, more people are probably taking the train. But compared to 2018, maybe there's some truth to what Chomik just said, because working remote, again, has become so normal.
Yeah, it was crazy. When I took NJ Transit to the city on Friday around noon, it was packed.
Really?
Yeah, I was shocked. It
Midday.
It was a snow day, noon on a Friday. I was like, oh, the train's going to be empty. It was packed.
You also have to think most companies that went remote and wanted to go back went hybrid. So if you go in, my dad commutes in and he says Fridays, the bus is empty every Friday.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting to think about. So maybe they're trying to get more ticket sales.
Well,
or more money.
All I'm gonna say is they didn't check my ticket on my way into the city, so I never activated it on my phone.
Nice.
So I got there and back. One
Stole
ticket
from the man, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Wow. So here's what the article says. It says NJ Transit is proposing an increase in fares of 15%. It's the first hike in 9 years and would install 3% annual fare increases indefinitely after that.
Ooh.
So we're not even just signing up for the 15%.
Yikes.
It would continue annually 3%.
That's ridiculous.
The proposal would also preserve service at current levels for the next fiscal year, which begins in July. It is expected that the state aid will remain unchanged from the current fiscal year at $652 million. In addition, agency officials said they found $44 million in internal cost reductions and $52 million in revenue enhancements. Imagine if you have a budget of $650 million, and then one day you're like, we could cut $44 million. That's crazy. Like, what were they spending that money on that they could just that easily go, oh, we found, $44 million in internal cost reductions. I'd imagine there's like, they're just finding things that they could just cut. But it said the fare hike could add about $106.6 million in revenue to the budget. The Murphy administration has known for at least 2 years that a fiscal cliff was on the horizon for NJ Transit, a forecast that is only ballooned in size and scale over that time. Yet the state aid for this current budget cycle is lower than the fiscal year 2020, when it was $668.6 million. No plan was developed by Governor Murphy and the legislature to make up for the fare box revenues. Now riders will likely have to shoulder much of the burden through fare hikes. So what do you guys think here? I mean, this is the inevitable. It had to happen eventually, but I don't know. Everything gets more expensive always. There's no reality in which NJ Transit gets cheaper, right?
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. In 20 years, a one-way ticket from Linden Station to New York is going to cost $16.62.
In 20 years?
Yeah.
A one-way.
One way.
I remember when round trip was 16 from Linden.
Well, that's in 20 years, you're saying?
Yeah, if you do 3% a year. I'm saying that it's after the increase, it's going to be $9.20, which I just did 8 as my base.
I think it's more than that already, to be honest with you.
It is.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who to blame, because I feel like NJ Transit's almost like if you built a 1,000-foot skyscraper and the foundation was garbage and you just went, well, we have to keep building, and like you're so high up that to fix it would require a total destruction of the system. And at this point, it's just not doable. I mean, as far as costs go, I guess they'd have to lay people off or mess with pensions or something like that. That would not bode well with voters, I don't think. So the logical conclusion is fares are going to get more expensive. On the flip side, everything gets more expensive in the state. Yeah. When does anything get cheaper? It's I feel like a broken record with this, because it's the tolls go up, the NJ Transit goes up, and in the midst of all this, people are financially struggling with all the other junk, So I don't know I don't really have any thoughts on this besides the fact that it's pretty typical. 15% increase in your train ticket to get to work.
Yeah.
As we're working through a situation with New York City with the tunnels, the congestion pricing rising.
Yeah, I forgot about that. When does the congestion pricing go into effect? That's got to be coming up soon, right?
I'm not totally sure, to be honest, if you want to look it up.
Yeah.
But the idea with congestion pricing was it would push commuters to take more of the trains and buses, and then you go to do that, and it's like, well, now your train and bus is going to be 15% more than it was before.
I drove into the city on Saturday, and it was actually the most peaceful drive. It was around like 4 p.m. I got into Lower Manhattan in 40 minutes. It was awesome. But then Jimmy reminded me, he's like, yeah, Josh, like this was a great drive, but you just spent like $30 to get into the city. Yeah. And I was like, oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget about that.
April 2024 is when we're expected to begin in congestion pricing.
So Murphy fought
against it.
He fought against it. And in I guess this is where things get complicated for government officials, because you're fighting against the congestion pricing, but then you're going to come out with the news of, hey guys, also while we're at it, NJ Transit's going to get more expensive. I wish there was another way. I don't know enough about the back end of New Jersey Transit's budget to understand what's going on here. What I do know is that things always just seem to get more expensive in New Jersey. Nothing gets cheaper.
July 1st is when this would actually go into effect. If it does happen. So you could expect to pay probably a few extra dollars on your train tickets into the city if this happens.
All right. Any more thoughts on that, Jimmy, before we go forward? You seem to be the NJ Transit mega mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I was behind NJ Transit for years, but I've had too many bad experiences.
How is this definitely going to happen?
Well, they're proposing it. So, again, with all things related to government stuff, it's always nice and confusing. It's never simple. But let's see. Well, here's what it says. For commuters and members of the public who wish to weigh in on the proposal, there will be 10 public hearings. And those not able to attend can submit comments online at njtransit.com/hearing via mail or at the public hearing office. You also can send an email to hearing@njtransit.com. They're going to take place at One Penn Plaza East in Newark, New Jersey. So who realistically is going to go to that? Maybe we should. That'd
be so much fun.
Maybe we should show up as NJ Transit conductors.
Have you ever
saying I want to make $1 million?
Have you ever went to a public hearing before?
No.
In the township I grew up in, I did, but not like one of these.
Yeah, I think we should go.
It's going to be epic.
Chaos.
I think you're going to get some characters there.
Oh yeah,
this one. But I mean, it's kind of laughable that who is conducting the public hearing? NJ Transit, right? It's going to be at One Penn Plaza in Newark. So like NJ Transit gets to conduct the public hearing on raising the fares.
Yeah,
I understand that's the way it works, but it's kind of like, shouldn't there be a mediator between the public and NJ Transit?
No.
Like, we're just going to go talk to NJ Transit and be like, please don't raise the price. And they're going to go, well, we have to. So what's going to get done? They're just going to raise the price.
Is it actually going to help anything hearing people's like voices in a situation like this?
I think occasionally, but in a situation like this, I don't think so.
Yeah, dude, they're not going to care.
They have a budget they need to maintain, and this is how they fill their gaps.
All right. Well, the conductors got to make their money, and the rail people got to make their money. And I just don't understand. The thing with NJ Transit is I'd gladly spend 15% more if things got better.
Things are not getting better.
The thing with these government-based utility sort of companies is there's no competition with NJ Transit. It's just NJ Transit. So they could raise the price 40%. What are we going to say if they say 40%? We have nothing to say. We can't say anything.
And people are still going to pay because people want to get into the city.
Yep.
There's no level of a competition to kind of challenge them on it or gut check them, but that's the way it goes around.
It's becoming so expensive to go into New York City, bro. I'm so sick of it. That's why I never go in.
Same.
Yeah, New York City is over, party. It's done. All right, let's move on to the next story here coming out of Paramus. Paramus has approved the first phase of a plan to transform Garden State Plaza.
This mall is turning into like a mini town. It's kind of crazy.
It's going to be a super village. I mean, Paramus, it says the planning board on Thursday approved the first phase of a redevelopment that eventually could transform Garden State Plaza by bringing a hotel, medical offices, a transit center, and nearly 1,400, wait for it, Apartments, let's go.
Luxury apartments or just apartments?
Oh, you better believe these are going to be luxury, Jimmy. They're going to have a gym.
Yes.
They're going to have every amenity.
So basically, you never have to leave this area.
That's their goal. They don't want you to leave. They don't want you to have to commute.
Jimmy, you will own nothing. You will be happy.
Okay.
They don't have a train. They don't have a train to commute, right? That's the only thing they're missing.
They'll definitely have buses, and they're 15% more expensive than they used to be. So, guys, this is
the future of New Jersey.
I said it. You guys made fun of me. We shouldn't be called New Jersey anymore. We should be the new condo state or the new apartment state.
New apartment state.
I mean, it never ends. Oh, I didn't finish what I was saying. So 1,400 apartments, senior housing. The board voted unanimously to approve an initial stage that would add 2 5-story mixed-use buildings with 575 housing units and about 50,000 square foot of retail space. You know, I used to not be empathetic when I'd see Gen Zers complain about, you know, there's edgy Gen Z people that are like, oh, you know, they just make fun of our society because everything is, how do I put this? They're just critical of the fact that everything's a shopping center or apartments. And I'm becoming more empathetic to the view of like Route 17 is kind of a monstrosity, isn't it? Like Route 17 and Route 22, it's not really, you know, an advanced civilization. We got to figure out a better way than having a bunch of men's warehouses and crate and barrel stacked along a highway.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But
you can barely drive on these highways. It's getting so bad.
So Westfield owns the mall, not the township, the company. And they're working with Mill Creek Residential Trust LLC on the project, which would be built in the mall's western parking lot. The board voted yes on the condition that closets are removed from the proposed dens in the development, but the barn doors could stay. That's an actual sentence.
What does that mean?
The board voted yes on the condition that closets are removed from the proposed dens in the development, but barn doors could stay. So that's the only critique, I guess, they had of the development. Board members had brought up concerns at the Thursday meeting and prior meetings that people might turn the dens into bedrooms if they had closets. So this is the only pushback they had on this development. I wonder, with all these major developments happening, whose pockets are being lined? This is the thing I can't figure out with every small town. I mean, suburban, I guess, is a mega juncture. Like there's a lot going on up there. But who's making the money here? You know, with all these development projects.
The developers.
Well, the developers are, but the township's got to give a green light.
You got your planning boards.
So who on these planning boards? Because all the comments on our videos from the population of New Jersey residents is like, I don't want this to happen. I don't, you know, at what point is there any pushback on the apartment state? You know, there's reasonable, like I think there's reasonable apartment complexes going in, but when I hear about every story we read is this stuff, and then all the comments on these videos are like, no, we don't want more of this. It just kind of makes you wonder if there's something nefarious going on, right?
Yeah, especially like all the locals in Paramus, they were really upset about this, I thought. I thought a lot of people raised their voices about it, and apparently it's still going through.
Well, the traffic in the area is the real concern. Route 17 is going to be, it already is a nightmare. It's going to be even worse. But they continue on a second part of the property. Plans call for a 7-story, 85,000 square foot hotel and a regional bus transit center. The developer also envisions a 286,000 square foot, 5-story residential building, additional retail space, and another 6-story parking garage. So there's stages to this, and every stage will bring more development. In the third stage, you're going to see more multifamily units, as well as affordable housing. And that'll be, what Paramus is going to look like now. So I'm interested to see what the viewers on our social media pages are going to say about this.
Flip out.
The comment sections are about to be a movie.
Yeah, they're about to go nuts. But I feel like most people agree with us.
Yeah, I mean, anybody within reason would say, hey, there's a lot of overdevelopment going on, and we want to develop in wise ways. like development can be really good for certain areas when the timing is right and you're trying to bring in, great housing, but development can also be unnecessary and kind of just, create room for more people to leave New York and come to New Jersey, which I feel like is what's going on with a lot of stuff right now. But, it's happening, so there's not much that can be done about it, and someone's making a lot of money on it. It's not me.
Not me.
Someone is. All right. Moving on to our next story this week. A New Jersey sheriff died this week in what appears to be a suicide in the bathroom of a Clifton restaurant.
This is so crazy and sad.
This is a wild story. And it seems there's a lot of gray in all this. Like there's a lot of, details that are yet to come out that we're going to have to see what actually happened here. But it says the sheriff of Passaic County, New Jersey, died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound Tuesday, according to law enforcement sources, 1 week after the sheriff's department was embroiled in turmoil, including layoffs and charges against officers accused of beating an inmate. So, I think I don't like that the article says that because we don't know that the suicide is connected to work frustration. We don't know that the suicide is related to stuff that was going on. We could draw that conclusion based on the circumstances, but this guy had like a 40-year career where Governor Murphy even said that he was like an exemplary sheriff, but it sounds like it could be related in some way to the fact that there was some layoffs happening and some other stuff. Sheriff Richard Berdnick died in the Turkish restaurant Toros in Clifton around 3:30 p.m. 3 law enforcement sources familiar with the matter told NBC New York. Patterson Mayor Andre Sayegh confirmed his death on Facebook, writing, "I affectionately referred to Richard as America's sheriff. He was an exemplary law enforcement leader and a cherished friend. May he rest in eternal peace." Sayegh had been at Toros earlier Tuesday to present a key to the city to the business owner for donating 10,000 meals to those in need and free meals to doctors and nurses during the coronavirus pandemic. "I look back at all our text messages between the two of us. I've known him for 14 years, Sayegh told NBC New York. He was an exemplary law enforcement leader, and he was a cherished friend. Berdnick was a stalwart figure in New Jersey law enforcement, having been a sheriff for 5 terms. He was sworn in 2011 and most recently won re-election for his 5th term in 2022. He is survived by a wife and 4 adult children." So the news of his death comes in a turbulent time for the Passaic County Sheriff's Office. This is what I was getting into in the opening of the article. Last week, the Bergen Record reported that Berdnick had sent a memo to his department describing challenging times for the agency and the need to lay off 29 jail corrections officers, which is crazy. That is kind of a weird thing that they had to lay all these guys and girls off.
Was that after the beating, though? Is that the reason, or this is completely separate?
No, this was prior. So the article, the opening of the article is implying that the reason he shot himself was because he had layoffs, and there were 2 officers that got charged with, basically disorderly conduct. I think that's very possible, but also in cases of suicide, you never want to jump to conclusions. It's good for context, but we don't know what was good. We don't know what his marriage was like. We don't know what, if one of his family members was sick. You don't know why somebody kills themselves, especially in a dramatic way like this. Like, clearly there's layers to what's going on here. But that was one of the context clues they kind of give us, to use a 9th grade English teacher term. They had to lay off 29 corrections officers just last week. Also last week, a Passaic County correctional officer and 2 sergeants were charged with deprivation of rights and conspiracy to obstruct justice in an alleged beating of a pretrial detainee. So not a good look there either. Jose Gonzalez, 45, and Donald Veneas, 38, and Officer Lorenzo Borden, 39, took a detainee through an area of the jail that lacks surveillance cameras, the statement said. Not a good look. They did not submit documentation about the use of force, the statement said. So New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has made a statement. He says he was deeply saddened to learn of the tragic loss of Passaic County Sheriff Richard Berdnick and praises his more than 4-decade career. Every single day, Sheriff Berdnick earned the trust of his constituents in Passaic County and worked exhaustively to combat criminal activity, modernize the operations of the sheriff's office, and meet the high standard of service we expect from members of law enforcement, he said. So it's a weird situation all around, and we'll have to wait to see if more does come out here. But why shoot yourself in the bathroom of a restaurant?
I was going to say, like, why?
It's a weird spot.
If you're going to, kill yourself, why didn't he just do it in his car away from people? Like, why would this guy choose to do it in a public restroom where there's families eating their food, where there's children there who are going to hear a gunshot and now be scarred for the rest of their lives? It's very weird.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I think, like, the context of, we had to lay 29 people off. It just, again, I want to reread that opening the way they put it. I guess they didn't fully blame it, but they said 1 week after. So they kind of draw the connection there, and maybe it's connected. I don't know. It just seems to me such a chaotic. There's no good way to kill yourself.
No.
Killing yourself is evil and horrible, no matter how it's done. It's really sad.
Yeah.
But in the context of the situation, to go, he shot himself in the bathroom of a restaurant in Clifton, and clearly that's just such a cry for help or something. It's a mess. There's something really messy going on here, and we'll find out. I don't know if we'll get all the information, but I'm sure that it makes you think, like, what was really going on here behind the scenes. Maybe there was even worse stuff going on.
Well, that's why it leads us to, like, do we need more mental health programs or check-ins for police officers? Like, these guys, they go through a lot. Obviously, they share it with other officers, but how much are these guys holding to themselves? How much stress? And I don't know. It's just, you hear so many, like, horror stories like this with, like, police officers.
Yeah, it would seem that that's definitely needed. I talked to someone the other day that helps with the mental health stuff. He's a police officer, and he was saying other officers can come to him for when they're going through certain stuff, because like in any career, there's stigma around vocalizing, your struggles of whether it's you're depressed, whether you're dealing with a lot of anxiety from the job. And we were just, the next article we're going to talk about is a great example of why what you're saying is important. Is police officers see horrific things all the time. Mm-hmm. And, I said that a few weeks ago about the Twitter videos. Like, I don't like to look at, like, the gore content on the internet. Yeah. You're only meant to see so much, so many, a dead kid or a dead this or a corpse here. And it's like, at some point it's too much, And I'm not going to draw that conclusion as that's why he killed himself. But I'd imagine it's, there was something going on here where maybe he could have talked to someone to work through it.
Yeah.
Rather than finding a permanent end. And the guy has 4 adult kids.
And it stinks, like, doing a story like this, because, like, when we posted about this originally, most of the comments are like, oh, he's trying to hide all the skeletons in his closet. Like, what are we about to dig on this guy? And, like, that's, like, the first thing that people, think about when something like this happens. It's like, what if he was just an amazing officer, like everyone says he was, and he was just going through a ton of stress and he just shot himself? Like, but now it stinks because now everyone thinks that he's trying to hide something. Maybe he was, but maybe he wasn't. No one knows.
Yeah, you're right. It's
like a bad look now. Like, everyone's just like, all right, this guy's hiding something. That's why he definitely killed himself.
Well, and the thing is, like, that's true. It's like people jump to conclusions. That's why I was annoyed with the opening being like, he had to lay people off. You don't know. He could have been, like you said, he could have been great. The governor, it seems he has pretty bipartisan support here from the governor. He has the local mayor is singing his praises. And he has a wife. He has 4 kids. So it doesn't sound like he was a scumbag. But again, who knows? We'll find out. But
we'll have to wait and see.
Until we know that, it's sad nonetheless. It's horrible,
terrible.
And I hate comments on social media, even on our stuff. I hate the comments because people are just so crazy. Yeah. It's like, people start to say horrible things, and I don't know. It's really easy in the comment section of a video to just say, the chances are, one of his kids will probably see our video when we put this up, and there's going to be, or the first video, the photo we posted, maybe, and all you have in the comments is people defaming this guy's character under the basis of what? An assumption that I don't like cops. So it's like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So you gotta wait till the info's out, and we'll see what's going on there. But let's move on to the next story. This is what the connection I was making, Josh, to you saying that cops probably need some support for the mental health stuff. And I know they're working on it. But this article is really, really horrific out of Union, Union, New Jersey has been reeling in the aftermath of a murder-suicide of a family of 4 this past week.
I was in shock when I heard this story. You never want to hear murder-suicide stories with a family.
Yeah, and this story is another one that's really bizarre. And there was a murder-suicide in Roselle like a year ago. A similar situation, two daughters, husband and wife. And this story is just so weird. And this is the stuff that, I mean, I don't know if it was a mental health thing. I don't know if it was just stress, if it was just someone giving up on life. But there's no rhyme or reason why you can really conclude the right response to any life situation is to kill your 2 kids, to kill your spouse, and to kill yourself. But it says New Jersey town is reeling in the aftermath of a shocking murder-suicide that wiped out a loving family of 4, including 2 young girls. Andrea Alarcon this week is believed to have gunned down her husband, Ruben, and her daughter, Scarlett, who's 9, and Emma, who is 6, before turning the weapon on herself inside the family's Lindcrest Terrace home in Union, authorities said. As the town made plans for a Wednesday funeral, Emma's heartbroken pre-K teacher recalled the petite little girl surrounded by an amazing family. I was Emma's first teacher, the teacher told the Post through tears on Saturday. I cannot tell you what happened, but this was a family that was very caring, loving, nurturing, and generous, she said. Andrea was a dutiful class mom who was on top of everything and made Valentine's Day gifts for her daughter's 14 classmates, the educator recalled. Emma's lunches were beautifully prepared, and her mom would use heart shapes to cut the sandwiches. So it sounds like from the outside, they look like a really normal family. The family massacre occurred just as their suburban home was being foreclosed on, prosecutors say. Local sheriffs showed up to the home to serve an eviction notice around 10:30 a.m. Wednesday when they found all 4 victims with mortal gunshot wounds, according to the officials. The murder weapon was located near the woman's body, leading investigators to conclude she was responsible for the deadly domestic violence, according to prosecutors. The home was sold for $322,000 at a November sheriff's sale, according to the reports. So I guess they were being foreclosed on. They sold the home. The cops show up to serve the eviction notice and say they got to get out, and they find a dead family.
Awful.
There's one more quote here that says, they were very lovely people. I really mean that. They were here for quite a long time, and she was a good mom, lovely, friendly, very polite. Husband was really nice, so I just don't know what could have happened.
That's so weird, man.
It's really weird.
Well, you got to think, they're getting evicted. It's time to get out. What, you think they couldn't afford anything else? And she's like, nope, we're just ending it all here.
That, again, with like the last story, I don't want to
I don't want to assume either.
jump, but that sounds like what was going on, this financial stress. Maybe she mentally just broke, couldn't do it anymore. But, it's sad. I mean, I read this, I don't know, I remember in a movie I watched, they were saying something about that you can collect data on how suicides go up as the economy gets worse. Like there's really good data to show, like in 2008,
100%.
divorce happens, suicide happens, murder happens because people cannot handle the stress of they lose their job or they're losing their house. And so I wouldn't say it's far-fetched to say that had something to do with it, but also, there's many people that lose their homes and don't murder their 2 little girls who are innocent and have, had their whole life ahead of them. And it's, you empathize on one hand, and on the other hand, it's just so vile to think that these 2 little girls are dead, the husband's dead, and, something happened. She snapped, she must have snapped. It sounds like by all character accounts, which is how we do things in our society, you go to get a job, people want references, right? People want to know what your neighbors think of you. They want to know what the teachers at your kid's school think, the people at your church, like people want to know what your community thinks of you. And on all accounts in this article, it sounds like they were an awesome family. Yeah, she was cutting her daughter's sandwiches into hearts, when she went to school. So it sounds like she was a good mom.
Just never know. It's behind closed doors. You never know.
Something was going on here. And who knows? I mean, we'll have to wait to see. We learned our lesson with the article about the kid playing football, the football player, kid that got murdered. I don't want to assume anything, but it's sad, very, very sad nonetheless. And, the classmates of these kids are going to have to see their friend not show up to school. So there's a lot of impact in a situation like this beyond just the immediate
heartbreaking
people. And what do they do with the house? That's the other thing I always wonder here is do they knock the house down? Do they sell it to a builder so they can knock it down and build something else? This is like the John List situation.
Yeah.
Where a whole family's dead. I don't want to live in that house.
I wouldn't want to move into that house. Yeah, it's just weird now. But yeah, if they're selling the house, do they obviously people will always look up an address in the news, but say they don't look up the address, they don't have to mention.
I don't know if
a family killed themselves.
I don't think you have to disclose it. I don't think a realtor has to disclose it either. And there might be somebody that doesn't really care, but something about it's just weird.
Yeah,
murder is different than an elderly person died here. Okay, that happens in life.
Suicide's crazy.
People were shot in your living room or wherever. It's just dark. So let's keep it local to Union and head over to Linden with this next story. Another interesting one. Linden High School students are revolting against a school policy that requires phones be kept in pouches while in class.
Didn't we do a story on this when this first rolled out last year?
We did a story about how certain schools were considering cubbies for phones. It was Red Bank, I believe, that was considering it. And now we're in Linden where the kids are not happy, Jimmy. The kids are not happy.
The kids can't get through their day without their cell phones. They need their cell phones with them in their hands, and they're starting to freak out.
Yes. They're itching for more.
It's messed up.
A New Jersey school district's new way of enforcing its no cell phones during class policy has created a buzz. Some students have tougher time parting with their devices. Locking pouches that have become a new normal part of attending some comedy shows and live concerts have been rolled out in Linden Public Schools for students. Have you guys heard of these?
Yep.
So if there's a stand-up comedian working on new material, they can have the venue make everybody put their phone in a pouch so that nobody's going to film them and leak them. Mm-hmm. It's a great idea. I think who was it? Maybe it was Dave Chappelle or it was a musician I heard about that every show on their tour, they made everybody lock their phones up, which is awesome. It's like you're forced to engage with what's going on.
You have to be in the moment.
Obviously, if there's an emergency, you're able to go grab your phone. Or if you're worried about receiving a call, you can go out into the safe area and open the pouch and see what's going on. But in the venue, because we can't control ourselves, they make people lock their phones in these bags. As reported by NJ.com, a few of the most tech-attached students were very emotional the first few times they were required to put their phones into yonder pouches for the school day. A student made a petition in fall 2023 that has seen more than 600 signatures of those upset with the locking pouch model. This is like when the one kid runs for school president and he's like, I'm getting rid of homework. Now they're making petitions to say we want our phones back. What do you guys think about this? What do you think, Josh?
Kids can go without their phones for 40 minutes. What's one period? It's like 40 minutes, right?
Well, I think it's more than that. I think their devices are going to be, the article isn't totally clear, but it sounds like it's more throughout the day. I did find the actual petition that the kids had pulled together with the 600 signatures. Let me pull that up right now. I didn't have the link open.
Back when we were in high school, even if you were had your phone out in the hallway, teachers would freak out.
Oh yeah, you had to hide your phone.
You couldn't have your phone seen at all.
Yeah,
I got yelled at for the one time pulling my phone out in the hallway.
Yeah,
I remember not using my phone in the hallway. If I wanted to sneak in the bathroom and look at my phone, that was definitely a thing. But it was not normal to be on your phone all day. But we're also living in a time where social media is becoming, I empathize with kids because you have TikTok and Instagram. Things are so addictive. I don't think kids have the mental self-awareness to be able to control their usage of these platforms.
And these kids have grown up with phones since they were little babies at this point. So it's that's all they know. So it definitely is harder than it was for us, but still, there's a time and a place for everything.
They're having withdrawals from the social media. So basically, Linden's policy says the use of cell phones is strictly prohibited in the building during the school day. Any unauthorized use will result in confiscation of the cell phone and subsequent disciplinary actions. The policy adds, if it is necessary, parents should contact their child through the school's main office phone number. You know what I would do if I was a
Wow.
kid? You know what the easy way around this is?
What is it?
Dummy phone.
Oh,
So
put
you lock up
in
that one, yeah.
You bring a fake phone in.
That's such a smart idea.
I mean, like, I feel like it's
That's so
it's a
smart.
great idea. I feel like it's definitely been tried before because it's like it's pretty easy to do, right?
I mean,
You bring an old iPhone in, give
Yeah.
that one in.
you just drop an iPhone. Yeah, there's my phone, and then
You're giving ideas to so many kids right now.
I mean, look, kids. What's the old saying? Necessity breeds invention, right?
Yeah.
When you're trapped in a corner like a rat, you start to figure stuff out. And I'm sure kids have thought about that. I'm sure there's been a lot of different ways they've tried to work around it, but that's what I would do. I would just go get a dummy phone and
What's interesting
throw it in the bag.
because like a lot of schools have these pouches, but it's like you get your phone after the period's done and you could check your phone in the hallway. It sounds like Linden, based off the article, these kids are not allowed to have their phones at all throughout the day. So it's definitely way more strict, and I guess that's why the kids are starting to freak out because that's like 7 hours without a phone. Usually,
Here's the thing. You guys want to hear the petition?
I would love to. Yeah.
Because this is fun. I think it's fun. So I'm going to cut to the second paragraph. It says, we recognize the benefit that cutting down on screen time can bring and understand that phones can definitely be a distraction in class. However, applying the same blanket policy to a student body of nearly 2,000 students with differing needs, backgrounds, and care plans is a foolproof way to only cause more issues and more distractions, which I don't get that. Social workers are overworked and understaffed. Mental health programs within the high schools are either non-existent or detrimentally inefficient for students in need. Vice principals are so busy to the point that they are often unreachable. All of these cumulative issues cause both the student body and the faculty to feel more disconnected from the school than ever before. But despite all these problems, the Board of Education fails to address them. So they're trying to make an argument that this should just be disciplinary action if kids are using their phones. Like, oh, why are you making everybody, have to get rid of their phone? Why don't you just have the principal discipline the one kid that uses his phone nonstop? I disagree with that point. I think, first off, again, I don't think a 16-year-old that's addicted to their phone has the ability to just not use their phone. Honestly, I think it's beyond that. It's too addictive. And you're not going to make a policy where so one kid uses their phone, you put their phone in a bag. I mean, I don't know. I think just throw them all in a bag.
So you're in agreement with what Linden's doing?
Yeah, I'll outright say I'm an extremist on the cell phone use for teenagers. I think we're going to see, I've said it before on the podcast, I think we're going to look back in 20 years and we're going to wonder what was going on that a 12-year-old had a phone or a 14-year-old had a phone. I mean, U.S. Surgeon General just said a few months ago that he recommends social media usage begin after the age of 16, which is pretty progressive if you think about it. My kids won't have phones until, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it. Maybe when they're 17, they'll get a phone. I'm not giving them a phone at 12 or 11. People could be offended by that. I don't really care. I mean, we wonder why kids are killing themselves and they're depressed and they're anxious. And There's a lot of good data to show the correlation between the invention of social media and a lot of these mental health disorders.
And it's scary to think about like 15 years from now, how much different it's going to be from now.
Yeah, and then all the arguments you hear parents say is like, well, I don't want my kid to be made fun of. And you're like, yeah, I don't want my kid to be made fun of, but I also don't want my kid to be depressed and addicted to porn when they're 14, which is all 14-year-olds right now. So it's like, what's the better? I hate to say be crass and say it like that, but I don't know. I think our culture needs to have a conversation about the phones. And the kids in class Snapchatting their friends, like, why should a 14-year-old be able to send photos? It just is so crazy. Like, I really think we're going to look back and go, what were we doing? That we gave so much, again, unlimited access to, I mean, an iPhone has more information on it than the Library of Alexandria, and you're giving it to, and it has more content of any sort, and you're just going to give it to a kid and go, hey, good luck, figure it out. It's just, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It just seems ridiculous.
So you're not going to sign the petition?
No, I'm not signing the petition. I'm saying make the bags twice as strong.
Ooh.
I'm saying lock them.
Lock them up.
I want to know when things changed from when we were in high school. When did teachers start letting kids use phones more in class? How do we get to this point?
It probably started happening slowly throughout the years, like little changes each year.
Yeah.
That's what 12 years ago now.
Younger teachers came in and they weren't as strict on it.
Younger teachers come in and they're more addicted to their phones than the kids are because they're young.
Yeah, I think also these technology companies are vying for your attention, and as algorithms get better, as these companies get more clever, each of these apps becomes more addicting.
Yeah,
I think Facebook in 2008 versus Facebook today are completely different platforms.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, my wife was playing a song the other day and went on Amazon. And if you ever notice, if you go on the Amazon app on your phone while listening to music in your car, the audio gets distorted because the mic on your phone turns on. Yeah, Amazon starts to listen to you. Yeah. Do it on your iPhone when you drive today. You have to turn your mic off and then it stops doing it. But your audio, because it's your mic turns on because Amazon's collecting data and they want to make better ads and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's the same thing with TikTok. Like when you go on TikTok, I mean, the reason this whole podcast works, the Garden State, is because TikTok has such an aggressively addicting algorithm that they go, we know you live in New Jersey. Watch this video. It's like, so I empathize with the kids. I'm not saying kids are bad. Like these are bad kids for using their phones. I don't blame the kids. I think we're living in a time where we have not caught up as a culture to this unbelievable advancement in technology of, the last 20 years. And now we have AI coming in. It's going to compound more and more, and content's going to become more specified, more addictive. And I feel for the kids, but it's what do you want? What do you want to do? I mean, we're going to let kids just have their phones and trust that they're going to figure it out. I don't know that they have the capacity to do that.
No, they don't.
So, and people could hate me for that. I don't really care at this point. All right, we have one more story for the week. You guys want to dive into this last one, and then we'll close out. This is from AP. The state of New Jersey has okayed 2 new wind farms that will be located further off the coast from beachgoers' view.
So now people won't see these wind farms, but is that actually why people are against them, or no?
I don't. It's to.
Or is it actually like they think whales are dying because of it?
I mean, that's where I think the critics of the people that were pro wind farm were like, you people that are protecting the whales don't really care about the whales. It sounds like on both sides there's some hypocrisy. To me, I didn't like the thought of viewing them, but that was only partially why I wasn't totally in favor of it. But I've seen both sides of this argument, and now it looked like Ørsted was out, and I don't think this is an Ørsted deal, this particular contract, because I know there were multiple things going on. But it seems like maybe they're going to move forward with it, Here's what the article says from AP. Stung by the pullout of the world's largest offshore wind developer, which was Ørsted, from 2 projects off the New Jersey coast last fall, state energy regulators on Wednesday approved 2 new wind farm projects, saying they remain committed to making the state a leader in the nascent industry. Both the projects chosen by the State Board of Public Utilities would be considerably farther offshore than earlier projects that generated significant opposition from onshore communities, one of whose concerns was that the turbines would be visible on the horizon from the beach. The board chose projects called Leading Light Wind and Attentive Energy, which together would generate enough electricity to power 1.8 million homes, the board president said. But in statements announcing their applications last year, the companies gave a combined total of 1.6 million homes, slightly less than the number given by state officials. So one quote that's kind of interesting, it says, "We are over the curvature of the earth," because it's going to be 42 miles off the coast. So the flat earthers are going to have a field day with this one.
Yeah, because you can't see the wind farm, so explain the earth being flat.
Well, I think I'll be honest. I think from the jump, that was one of the main PR issues with this. Is you're trying to sell the residents of New Jersey wind turbines that they're going to see from their beachfront property in Long Beach Island. It does not make sense,
especially with the Jersey Shore being the Jersey Shore. Yeah. It's like we're known for this. Like you don't want to go to the Jersey Shore and just see wind farms. It's bad for tourism.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see what happens here. I don't want to jump the gun and say this is going to happen because we said that with the Ørsted one, and then they pulled out, and that was an unbelievable amount of money weighing in the balance. I believe the state of New Jersey is still litigating with Ørsted because they had certain obligations in the contracts that the state of New Jersey is suing them for now. But we're going to have to see what happens here as well. But I'm interested, again, as always, to see what our listeners think. Do you care less about the wind farm if these turbines are 42 miles off the coast where you're not going to have to see them? I guess, is there concern still with the whales? I know that was one of the concerns initially. I don't know. I'm not an expert on wind turbines. You know, we can only read articles and give our very limited understanding and opinions on this. And to be totally honest, as much as we've read articles on this, I still feel very undereducated to give a hot take on what's right or what's wrong. I think it's a lot of money. My gut instinct is, I just feel like it's a legacy project for the state. And I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical of if this is a cost-effective approach to energy, because I know there's going to be a lot of maintenance that'll be needed. It's going to be expensive to build them, but again, I'm not an expert. I'm not an analyst. I haven't sat and looked at the numbers, but I'm interested to see what the general populace will think about this.
It is crazy how if it's so far off the shore that people can't even see it. It's like if they built these and didn't even tell anyone, like would anyone notice?
Fishing boats would, I guess.
Yeah.
And you'd see photos coming in, but yeah, I guess your average person would have no idea. And at what point, how many miles out does it not no longer be New Jersey territory? It's international. Isn't it 100 miles off the coast? I think the state of New Jersey has 100 miles. Every state before you're
24
miles.
This is where international water starts.
So this is 42 miles off the coast is international water. That's interesting.
24. Wow. So it'd right be near the border.
Well, he said 24. These are 42 miles. So these are like 20 miles.
Sorry.
18 miles past the border. So
that's interesting.
So New Jersey, technically it's not even in New Jersey territory. So who's to say then, I know this is like a really weird kind of question. I'm sure there's laws, but who's to say like China couldn't go 25 miles off the coast of New Jersey and build if it's international waters,
right? I would love to get educated there because that's very interesting.
I'm sure there's reasons that can't happen, but if 24 miles is how far you go before you're in international, I don't know.
That's not even far.
But with that, I want to see what people will say. Leave us a comment, give us a call if you have any thoughts on this.
Oh, yeah.
And let us know if you're a whale lover, if your Instagram handle is whalelover94 and you want to call in with some hot details, let us know. Call into the mailbag.
We want to hear from you.
Send us an email. Yeah. But otherwise, that's our last story of this week. Josh Chomick.
Josh Soba.
Thank you everybody for listening. Any thoughts on any of what we talked about today?
I mean, the state's crazy, but I love the place, and that's why we do this podcast. So many crazy stories constantly. You're constantly just hearing all this noise around us, but I feel like we're built different, Josh. That's why we live here.
New Jersey is special.
They take all our money.
I see it as worth it, even in the midst of the craziness. I know a lot of people leave states and they move to other states. I mean, we got to hold out and hope that things get better. And but when you hear about like NJ Transit getting more expensive, there is a feeling of like it's never gonna change.
Yeah,
New Jersey is New Jersey, and it's gonna get more and more expensive, and we're gonna get priced out of living here even more. But you never know. I mean, who knows?
I mean, like all I'm saying is, Josh, if you buy your 20-acre plot of land, or like maybe a 200 acre plot of land at the minimum out in Montana, and you want to start building a town or like a compound, I'd move out there, and we could do the podcast from there.
A Wild West city town.
I mean, that'd be awesome, right?
The funny thing is, we could not even be in New Jersey right now, and people really wouldn't know the difference.
It's true.
Maybe we aren't in New Jersey right now.
We've done that before. Josh Chomick's been in other states.
Wouldn't that be a great piece of art if we made an entire it would be a great almost like a documentary if we spent 5 years building a New Jersey podcast and we never even had been in New Jersey.
Should we do this for like California or something?
Yeah.
Well, what if we did a more random state? Like what if we did the North Dakota podcast and we went hard? Like we learned everything about North Dakota.
All 10 people would listen.
Do you think accents would throw them off?
No.
I don't think so. I think maybe
we don't have New Jersey accents, I don't think.
A better state would probably be Washington. a state that's coastal.
Yeah.
Because you're near a major city. Like Seattle probably has such a mix of people. But like that would be a really funny comedy documentary if we were so obsessed with a state and we spent years building an audience only to pull the rug out and be like, hey, we've never even been to North Dakota. Like, imagine if we did that with this podcast. People found out, like, we've never even been.
The
in
whole
New Jersey.
Vintage City bit is just like
it's like
a
fake
lie.
It's
a cover up.
It's like a universe. We create a universe of stuff that's.
We're in
moving.
Elizabeth when we're really not.
Like we're talking about North Dakota and we're like, hey, I went to Fargo this weekend and we're like, we're just talking about like local restaurants. My favorite waitress at the Cowtown, diner.
Jimmy would have so many names to drop.
It'd be awesome. All right. Well, we're not that brilliant, but maybe, hey, if someone wants to steal that idea, it'd be pretty cool. But hey, thank you everybody for listening. We have, like we said, an interview coming out between this episode and the next. So keep your eyes on our podcast and we will see you next week. Everybody have a great weekend. Later.
See you later.
Bye.
You're listening to the Garden State. The Dirty Jers.